What's going on, guys? Jake Peffer here. Welcome back to Jake's Cinema Room. Today I'm continuing on with my segment, Underrated and Overlooked, where I take a look at movies that I feel are either very underrated or have been extremely overlooked over the course of their release. Today I'm going back to 2002. I'm going to be looking at an indie thriller that starred none other than Mr. Robin Williams, rest in peace. And this is a movie that I would argue is one of his best performances, despite being a movie that a lot of people probably don't know, or if you do know it, you probably don't remember it too much. Today I'm talking about 1 Hour Photo. Now this is a movie where Robin Williams is a bit of a creep. He is very creepy in this movie. And it's not unlike him to play a villain. He didn't do it too often during his career, but the times he stepped out of his comfort zone and didn't focus solely on being funny, or, even when he was dramatic a lot of the time, he was still very good. But there's at least, a few times, handful of times throughout his career where he was actually a villain, and for the most part, I think he does a really good job in the villain role. In this particular movie, Robin Williams plays a character named Cy Parrish. He works at a place that's kind of like a Kmart. If you're not familiar with Kmart, they were like a smaller version of Walmart back in the day. And he works at the 1 Hour Photo place. If you're not familiar with that, it was a place you would find in places like this, where when you had disposable cameras at this point in time, you would take your pictures, bring them in, get them developed, and we would have these little physical pictures that we could put on display. Don't really see that as much anymore, so that does date the movie a little bit. But nonetheless, his character is basically the manager of this photo development department. And, he gets cameras from people, develops their pictures, gives them out. It's a pretty tedious job, something that's kind of unfulfilling, but he works there. He loves photography and loves doing things like that. He is pretty fixated on a particular family, the Yorkins. You have Connie Nielsen, Michael Vartan, I believe is his last name. And then they have a little son named Jake, just like me. But anyway, he's very fixated on this particular family. And we come to learn that he's actually been developing their photos for quite some time. He gets to a point where he starts to take things a little too far, essentially starts stalking this family. And the rest, you kind of have to watch the movie to figure out. I don't want to give away too much. But yeah, just the concept in general is very creepy. Like I said, he is a very creepy character in this movie. And the movie really gets in depth with his character. And I like Robin Williams' performance in this movie. I think he does an amazing job. Like I said, this is without a doubt one of the best performances in his career. It was widely overlooked at the time when it came out. Now, when it did go in theaters, it's actually made more money than I thought it did. It made about $52 million worldwide, which for a movie like this is actually not bad. It only had about a $12 million budget, so it was definitely a hit. But it's just one of those movies that I feel like doesn't get brought up enough, because Robin Williams' performance in this, I'm going to keep saying it throughout this entire review, his performance is fantastic. And how it got so overlooked at the time, I'm not going to expect it to get nominated for an Academy Award or Golden Globe or anything like that, although I do think it had the potential to be. I can't remember what the nominees of that year were, but nonetheless, this should have at least been considered for sure. I know the Academy looks down on like thrillers and horror movies and stuff like that, and while this isn't necessarily a horror movie, it definitely has elements of horror, and it definitely leans more on the thriller side, and I think for the most part it is a very thrilling movie. Now, with that said, it is also a movie that's very slow-paced. It takes a little bit to get through, even though it's not even an hour and a half. Like, it's, I want to say 87 minutes, 88 minutes, something like that. Like, this is a movie that you breeze right through, but because of that slow pace, it does feel a little bit longer than it is. But the director behind this movie definitely takes his time and crafts out this character and fleshes him out to a point where you kind of sympathize with him a little bit, mainly because of Robin Williams' performance. But at the same time, this guy is dangerous. He's creepy. Like, we really don't know what's going on in his head. And when it all gets revealed at the end, what his character's actually gone through to get him to the point where he, takes certain steps in the movie and does certain things, it kind of brings a lot more to light, because there's a lot more going on than they really showcase early on in the movie. And I like that they kind of leave it like that, where you're kind of wondering, what exactly is this guy's deal? Like, why is he so obsessed with his family? Why is he so obsessed with pictures and photography and things like that? And they kind of let you figure it out for the most part. But like I said, once you get to the end, he kind of spells it all out for you. And I really like this movie's the way that it flows and everything. I think works so effortlessly. If I had any downsides to this movie, any complaints, it would just be that the family and some of the other characters aren't quite as fleshed out as Robin Williams' character. I mean, Connie Nielsen and Michael Vartan, they're good in their roles. Connie Nielsen's definitely fleshed out a bit more than Michael Vartan's character, who's the husband of this family. And he's he's just kind of there, but he does play a bigger part later on in the movie. And then they have the little kid who comes in and out of the movie as well. And the actor that plays him, he's totally fine. You actually have a lot of other character actors that I did not remember being in this movie. Gary Cole, who I did remember being in the movie, and is one of my all-time favorite character actors. Super underrated. It's perfect for this segment that I'm doing. He plays the manager of the Save Mart store that Robin Williams' character works at, and they have a nice back and forth throughout the movie. Gary Cole is, he's a pretty demanding manager, but he's not overbearing or anything like that, but it gets to a point where he really has to put his foot down with Cy and show him who's boss, because, there's certain things that he does that are definitely against the codes and the ethics of this particular place. So it's nice to see the back and forth with their characters, and I think Gary Cole, even though he's not in the movie a ton, does a really great job. You also have Eric LaSalle, who is most notable from the TV show ER. Him and Clark Gregg, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Coulson himself. They are a couple of detectives that enter the movie later on and played not a huge part, but definitely have more to do later on in the movie, and both of them are pretty solid in their short amount of time on screen as well. So you have a nice, pretty good cast of people, but like I said, the only slight downside is most of them don't really get developed outside of Robin Williams, and to a certain extent, Connie Nielsen's character. But yeah, like I said, this movie, just the imagery and the way it's shot, the way it's filmed, everything here works so well. It makes everything really eerie and just really creepy. I can't get past that word. This movie's just very creepy. It almost at times kind of makes your skin crawl just because of certain things that happen. This isn't an overly violent movie or anything like that. So if you're looking for a thriller that's like, oh, they're going to set all this up and then there's going to be a bunch of killing and heads blown up and stuff like that at the end, you're probably going to be a little disappointed in that regard, because there's really not a whole lot of violence. There's a little bit here and there, but it's mostly, there's not a whole lot of blood and things like that. And it's a movie that works because of the way it's designed and the way it's directed and the way that it's written and the way that it's acted. All around, this is a fantastic movie. I really hate that it got so overlooked when it came out, and I really hate the fact that it doesn't get brought up as much as it should. Like I said, one of the best performances in Robin Williams' career. I will not shut up about that. If you have not seen this movie, if you've not heard of this movie, this is definitely one you need to seek out, whether it's on streaming. I have the Blu-ray here. I'm sure the Blu-ray or DVD is still available somewhere where you can buy it. You definitely need to check it out, especially if you're a fan of Robin Williams and you let this kind of slip under your radar. Go rent it, buy it, check it out now, because it's a fantastic movie and it is a flawless Robin Williams performance. That's about it for me, guys. If you have seen 1 Hour Photo, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I'll leave all my links down below on where you can follow me and check out more of my reviews. And be on the lookout for more entries in this segment coming soon, Underrated and Overlooked. I'm working on some stuff for that. Rediscovering some old classics and going back and watching some old movies to check them out and see if they're worthy of this segment. So be on the lookout and stay tuned for more reviews in this segment. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you all later.